say beautiful things before you can blink. So these were my target audience from Yashwant Sinha's union budget, which decided what taxes you pay. I moved to this, so I rebooted my life in 1 week. And then came an opportunity to move to Martland, which is old fashioned and beauty. I was fortunate that the brand has more than just fashion. So I dealt with real issues. And that's when I met when I worked with Sina and took up the cause and launched them and did campaigns for safety women. So that night my work kind of rebooted itself. And in between, I also joined none of you will know what this is. Some of you may. I joined Rediff.com when internet was unknown in this. And I did sorry? So, yeah, so, where were we? Yeah, so there was internet when we didn't have all the Instagrams and Pinterests and social media and everything. Why don't you just show them
So while we're waiting for the lovely video to show up, Nina actually brought up a couple of different pointers, and obviously as we started the whole floor this in the first part of the hour, being able to give you guys enough value so that you can have this different framework and perspective and perception as you go on into the different days of the conference. And some of the things to just kind of be open to. We're all talking about different pain points that we have in our life. And each and every one of you has a story. And we all have different stories. And we have these different story arcs of what identify us. Whether it's the childhood story of I'm not enough. And when we look at the different human dynamics and the human behavior changes that come up during the course of our life, there's 3 different things that come up, especially for women. And we're all women in the room. And so keep in mind that all of us, and you can actually be able to see this in other people, in the way that they present themselves. We all have hidden insecurities, hidden vulnerabilities that we sometimes actually have a block or a wall in front of us. And so one of it is are we enough? Are you enough? Are you doing enough? And for those of you who are nodding your heads, it's huge. So is this job going to give me X, Y, and Z? Is this relationship going to give me X, Y, and Z? Okay, so and then we have different pain points that happen, and even with the girls that were featured on these videos, this is extraordinary hardship. And even in my own life, I lost my mom, my brother, and my dad before I was 20. And so it's been the chase and the quest to chase for validation. And sometimes I saw it in places where I got the validation from men, which is why it led me to the relationship and then marriage that I spoke about earlier. But for each of us and for each of you, it's different. And it's not right, it's not wrong, but just to have, and what we teach at the Global Grid Institute is number 1 is the awareness. So you can all write this down. Number 1 is having the awareness of those around you, of yourself, and of what you bring to the table. So that's one, is the awareness. Number two is the acceptance. Accepting that, okay, the reality is, just like Nina so graciously shared, the acid victim, she could have been in victim mode, or she accepted the fate, and then we go on to step 3, is the commitment. Commitment. That is your reality defining you? Is that story defining you? Are you going to take revenge? And we can redefine our identity at every single moment. Any single moment, at every single minute, even right now, you can actually make the choice whether to stay in this room or to leave. And I'm so gracious that you were all actually staying, so thank you. And so we have a choice, and we can make better decisions as a result. Because why? Because we're aware, okay? And a lot of other people may not be aware, but we are aware. You are aware of your own actions that you bring on into the relationships. And then lastly, so we have awareness, acceptance, what was the third one? Commitment. And then the last one, thank you. Our last one is action, right? Action. So for those of us who, and this is a very, very small example, and a very small example, but everyone can relate to this, weight, right? As we get older, we have different weight issues or whatnot, but it's the action, it's the awareness, right? Yep.
No, go ahead, finish.
Yep. So it's the awareness of your state right at the moment, okay? That you want to be able to make the decision to lose or gain a certain amount of weight. And I use this example loosely. But then it's the acceptance of your current reality. And then it's really the commitment. So what's your game plan? What's your strategy? What does that look like?
Can you just tell me how you would identify identity? What is, like, if you say, okay, what is your identity? What does that mean exactly?
Yes. That's so for those of us when we were talking about it earlier, identity is really what you define as your authentic self. It starts with the awareness. And a lot of times we're so plugged by what society tells us that we should be, what our families tell us that we should be, especially from the Asian lens, especially from Asian culture. And then, of course, we have the different programming. So maybe we have different expectations, like, these lovely, my lovely co-hosts on the side, had an amazing upbringing. For myself, I had the pressure from my external family. It was the pressure and the legacy of what they wanted me to be. So what I became was a cosmetic dentist, okay, early on. I ran that, and it was a successful multi-million-dollar practice, and I had 15 doctors under me. But because I did not know my identity, I was only governed by the monetary stream of income. That affected my leadership. Because why? I didn't believe in myself as a leader. I thought I was too young. I thought I was too pretty. I thought no one's going to listen to me. And which is why it's encouraging to have, the different levels of where we are and really owning our truth. And it doesn't matter on what age it is. And so as I began, and this is an example, to really live authentically of how I wanted to be in leadership, whatever that looked like. And it really was quieting the sideline noise. So this is something I talk about a lot, quiet the sideline noise. It doesn't matter what society thinks. And when I was living in that emotionally, physically abusive relationship, I was in fear. And really what it was fear of the world. I had a high-profile cosmetic practice with celebrity clientele that was flying in. What would they think if they knew that I was living an absolute lie? Okay. The judgment that we face. So I wrote down a couple of, or maybe I didn't, but I thought I was. But so we struggle with this idea of enough. Okay, so in enough, then we struggle to overdo, overachieve, overcommit. And as women, because we have this idea that we have to be mothers, we have to be, we're taking care of the family. And I took care of my youngest brother. I raised him. He was 14, and I was 19 when we had our slew of adversity. But it was the whole idea of overdoing and overachieving, right? And we all have this because why? Our number one thing that we all want is the idea that we are not enough. And then the second thing is our worthiness. Are we worth it? Are we worth to have an amazing relationship? Are we worth to have an amazing practice? Are we worth it to have amazing networks and amazing connections? So these are some of the triggers that can come up to define what your identity looks like. And what we were talking about earlier is we have different pain points and different circumstances in our life that can shape that can alter that. But at each moment in time, we can actually make better decisions as a result. And when we make better decisions as a result, there's no judgment in our past decisions. That was already there, and that's okay. Because perhaps maybe we were supposed to make those decisions so that we could actually learn and evolve as we grow, right? And so we're here, and Dr. Harbeen really has done an incredible job of sourcing some of the most beautiful humans. And really what this is all about, and I talk about this a lot, even in Silicon Valley and globally throughout the world, when we do our Global Grit Institute and our emotional confidence workshops, is really we're creating this heart-centered, humanistic society, okay? And it only happens when we are what? When we're aware. So when we're aware, we are actually living and actually speaking our truth, no matter what, no matter if it affects other people, because it's your truth. It's not my truth, it's not her truth, and it's not her truth. And everyone's truth is so beautiful and so unique in that way. So that exercise that we shared, it's such a profound yet easy, simple exercise of who are you? What defines you? What lights you up? Okay, I can ask that in several different ways. And for a lot of us who are overachievers and overdoers, it's so simple, but it's actually kind of difficult because you're like, well, who am I? I'm a baker, I'm an investor, I'm a mentor, I'm X, Y, and Z, but really, who are you? Are you a singer? Are you somebody's best friend? Are you somebody's champion? Are you somebody's advocate? So really, what makes